We're 3 weeks away from draft day. 3 weeks in a day. It's 3 weeks from tomorrow, the first round of the draft. And as we're sitting here right now, the 49ers, it's not some years you have a clear, you're going quarterback or you're going this, you're going that. It's not necessarily all that clear right now from where I'm sitting what the 49ers number one draft priority is. So I'll throw that to you. What do you think right now, if the draft were tonight, what is the number one priority for the 49ers position wise going into it?
I think you have to, I think there's 2. I think there's 2, so I'm gonna kinda cheat. I know you said 1, I think there's 2. I think you gotta go I look at it as, in the draft, and, it's more I personally think there's a 3rd, but I don't think they're gonna draft the 3rd first at 61, so I'm not gonna go there. The 3rd would be safety. I think the 2 are interior offensive line and edge rusher. I think it's about time that you invest in getting a guy, that has pass rush potential on the other side of Nick Bosa, a high level physical specimen for Chris Kasarik to really, really develop. Because I think the interior of this defensive line is set in stone. I don't know how you feel. I'm a big Javon Kinlaw believer. I loved
I
Javon
saw you
Kinlaw
tweeting
before
about
the
him this
draft.
week.
Yeah, I loved Javon Kinlaw before the draft. So I'm gonna just stick by that. I still believe in that physical talent. I hope that, once he gets healthy, maybe he can put it together and get a healthy offseason of reps to improve, because he didn't get that with the COVID year. And then he was hurt all of last offseason. Eric Armstead is an absolute stud inside. I mean, I thought he played probably the second half of the season as good as any three technique not named Aaron Donald. I think you could put him in that conversation. Now, whether that carries over is a question mark, but that second half of the season from Eric Armstead was pretty damn dominant.
Yeah.
But I think it's and then they find these edge pieces. They find these interior pieces, right? Whether it's through the draft, whether it's through the undrafted or signing people like Hassan Ridgeway and stuff. Like the interior defensive line, they usually have it beefed up with depth and it always looks good. I think it's just that second edge rusher. And so I would love for them to go there at 61. And then the interior offensive line, man, like it's not just the fact that you need a starter for this year, because I'm not sure that it would work out that way, because I'm not sure a guy at 61 is going to come in and beat out Daniel Brunskill immediately. But you can't play the restricted free agent game with Brunskill anymore next year. And he might get a contract somewhere just because of, the need for an offensive lineman. He knows the Shanahan system well, and he has positional versatility in the sense that he's played all 5 positions on the offensive line, and he's been kind of okay at all 5 of them. So I think Brunskill might get a contract that the Niners might not want to give him. So you need an interior offensive lineman to come in and compete. And then the Alex Mack, he's really old. And we know how important center is for this offense. I'd love to see them invest in a young center and develop him, even if he doesn't play this year. Just a guy, that can be your long-term future at center and maybe have that position solidified for a few more years instead of going into the veteran market and having to go every 1 to 2 years in free agency and getting a new center. So those would be the 2. I personally think they need a safety, but I think the way I look at it and the money they gave George Odom, I think that they're sitting pretty with Odom, Hufanga, and Tarvarius Moore. And I think they will go safety in this draft, but I don't think it'll be the first pick at 61. I think that interior offensive line and then edge rusher are probably where they will go, and I think that's also probably where they should go.
It's funny. I look at them as they need a great player. They need to hit on a great player. To me, it's not as much about specifics. Like, do they need a wide receiver? Yeah, they need a vertical threat. Do they need
Mm-hmm.
another running back? Well, I don't know. They just lost Raheem Mostert, who's their number one back going into the year. Do they need an edge rusher? Yeah, they do, but they also have Samson Ebukam
Right.
and some other guys there
But
opposite
Ebukam's a free
Bosa.
agent, so
He's a free agent. Well, he's a free agent next year, you mean?
yeah, right.
Yeah.
After this year, that's what I meant.
Yeah. So
So
do
you
they need a
need, yeah.
corner? Well, they do, but they just signed Charvarius Ward. Do they need a safety? Yeah, they do. I guess my point is they need a great player. They need to hit on a great player. They need to go best player available. And all the mocks that I'm seeing, they're sitting at 61 in a spot where every time I do a mock draft on different platforms, there's somebody who I had in the teens or 20s who's on the board at 61. So to me, I'm taking that player. and I don't care
Okay.
if that player, what
Yeah.
position that player plays.